Did you hear about Rich Dad's new podcast, Millennial Money? Don't you want the truth about money and not just the lies the media is selling you? Don't you want to control your own future? Then join me, Alexandra Gonzalez-Ganoza, as I interview the #1 personal finance author in the world, Robert Kiyosaki, as well as many of the world's greatest thinkers about money, finance, and the economy. Robert and I will show you how the lessons of Rich Dad Poor Dad apply to the entire generation of millennials. You won't hear the old advice of saving your money and getting a 401k. Instead, you will get real advice from the most successful people who have real knowledge about the real way money can be made because they actually do what they teach. Join me as Robert and I take you down the path to true wealth with the Rich Dad Company's newest podcast, Millennial Money.
This is the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Well, this is the Rich Dad Radio Show, and welcome to the program, the good news and bad news about money. I'm here with Kim, and we have two very special guests here, Mark Moss and an old friend, George Gammon. You guys have been, I hate to be the old guy. I hate to tell you. I remember, I think in 28, 30, you're going to say, yeah, I worked with him. Like I talk about guys who are dead now. Yeah. Most of my teachers are fucking dead. Yeah. And so you're going to say, yeah, I remember him when he was alive. And I'm going, oh, God. But it's an honor. It's really an honor to meet comrades, in this whole thing. So, Mark, give us a quick background.
I started investing really, really young at 18 years old, started buying and selling real estate coming out of a massive crash in California. So learning how to profit out of a bust. Your books were very instrumental in me at a very young age, and I continued to build that up. I told Robert that his book was one of the two most influential books on my life, that and Think and Grow Rich.
The Bible was on top of it.
Well, and the Bible, which I still read every day. But really because it changed the way I think. Yeah. And that's the most important thing. And then from there, I can go chase the information that I need. So anyway, I did really well with real estate, did really well with business, Fortune 500 exits, $25 million in development. But in 2008, I was on the wrong side of the wealth transfer. And I didn't know about wealth transfer at the time. And so it was that traumatic event that made me go, I was really good at making money, but what is this whole financial casino going on over here? Because I don't know about that.
Can I interrupt you? This book, I love this book. He states bailout is the name of the game.
Yeah.
And what they do is they crash the markets when the S&L crisis just crashed. Holy crap. And they bail out the rich, as they should. Depends on your point of view.
Yeah.
And so it's always bailout after bailout after bailout after bailout, but the problem never gets solved. It just gets
worse.
Bigger. Yeah.
So it was really at that point where I learned about the wealth transfer, and I learned a concept that money.
Please explain wealth transfer.
I'm going to explain it right now. So I learned a concept, and that's money is like energy. It doesn't disappear; it transfers. Right. And so then I realized when I lost all my money, someone else got it.
Thank you.
And I learned this concept, so someone else took my money, and I realized at that point that these wealth transfers happen during times of like that, and I vowed to myself that will never happen to me again.
Yeah. Okay. George, 1 minute intro about when was your wake-up call?
When was my wake-up call?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, it's probably the same time frame, but it happened in a different way. I didn't lose everything due to the collapse in the economy, but I lost almost everything due to getting in a battle with a politician.
But anyway, we want to have a moment of silence for a dear comrade. He's a casualty in the battle.
Yeah, but he's fighting back. He's fighting back.
Peter Schiff, dear friend of ours for years and years. I was on the real estate crews, and he is outspoken. And his father is a combatant also. His father was thrown in jail and all this. So we fight. That's why what we're doing today is important, simply because due to the magic of social media, which has also got its own censorship problems, I've been taken off several times because the communists still run big. Big Brother is alive and well in Silicon Valley, as we all know. They censor us, but still, it gives us a chance to fight back. So we want to have a moment of silence for our brother Peter Schiff, who just got hammered because Kim and I got hammered. Any questions about anything we covered so far?
Just a quick question, because we're talking about censorship and being deplatformed. We talked to Dinesh D'Souza earlier this week, And he had mentioned moving his stuff to Parler and Rumble as a way to kind of avoid maybe being deplatformed. Have either of you considered that move to those platforms?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it on the drive here, just as a way to take our content that we shoot to YouTube and simultaneously sending it to another platform where you've got some diversification. Yeah. And yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I'm definitely trying to figure out how to get there, especially as my channel grows. You know, we just hit 200,000 subscribers. So it's now becoming, it's weird for me to even say it, but it's kind of becoming this brand. And I've got to be more cognizant of that moving forward.
Yeah, I've set up accounts, multiple accounts. So I do have a Parler account, although I don't use it. I did set up a new account on Library, which is like a different YouTube, a decentralized YouTube. But I was thinking as we were talking right now, it's like, it's the network effect. So people need to move over there or else nobody wants to go over there. Yeah. And what I was thinking is, as content creators, and I just thought of this as we were talking, we should almost, and I might just start making special content that only goes to that platform.
Yes, you drive traffic.
So I drive traffic. Hey, I'm going to make uncensored content. If you really want to hear what I have to say, go check it out there. and really use that to push. If more content creators got together and started pushing people to those platforms, it would take hold.
So we're not against YouTube. We love you guys.
Let me be clear.
It's we stand for freedom of speech here, and and we don't want to trash anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about a free market capitalist society is that when you do have an entity that is becoming maybe a monopoly, then the more draconian they become, the more it incentivizes entrepreneurs to go out there and start the next Google, or the next Facebook. And I understand there's a network effect, but let's remember that Google wasn't the first Google. It was Yahoo.
Right.
Or it was Yahoo. No one even knew what Google was.
Yep.
And Steve Jobs didn't come out with the first iPod. That was not the first digital MP3 player.
Right.
And also all the Facebook, what happened to MySpace? Right?
MySpace,
So I know there's a good argument for the network effect, but it is possible to dethrone these giants as long as we stick with our fundamentals of free market capitalism and low regulation to allow those entrepreneurs to go out there and slay the giants.
But it's really tough, you start, well, here's my little company, let's call it MySpace. What was his name?
Tom Anderson.
Tom, a great guy. He sits there, his baseball cap, he's from San Francisco. He loved the Giants, and all this stuff. He starts MySpace, but he gets offered billions of dollars. You're a kid going through college, working. He told the story, Tom Anderson he's working in the, he puts himself to school by working in the cafeteria, the hardworking guy. And then somebody offers him, I think it was Murdoch or something, right?
Rupert Murdoch of $400 million.
Yeah. If you're 25 years old and you got no money,
you take it.
Sold. Yeah. But sometimes, and I mean, going back to, when you probably first started investing, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's all about the Nifty 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I never bought stocks. I didn't trust them.
Yeah, but the point is, where's the Nifty 50 now?
For those who may not know, this old stuff, Nifty 50, and this guy Rickards talks about this. He said back in the 50s and 60s, people didn't invest in stocks.
Yeah.
They invested in bonds. And the only people who invested in stocks were gamblers. Mm-hmm. And now today, like this thing here and all this, who's told my pension, everybody, the 401k, everybody's in stocks and bonds. And
they forced us to.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Because they dropped the rates so low, you have to go out the risk curve.
The risk curve,
you have to take more risk.
If you go back in history, you'll see that really the world hit its really prosperity peak when we had money and people were able to specialize. And so money allowed me to specialize in what I'm good at, you specialize in what you're good at, and we can just trade. And so we've been able to do that. And what's happened now is that we can't specialize. If I'm a brain surgeon, I can't just be a brain surgeon. I also have to be an investor.
Yeah, right.
And if I had money that could hold its value, I could just be the best brain surgeon in the world, and my money could hold its value at least. But now we're forced to be speculators, investors, gamblers, whatever.
If I could say something with this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, the problem with the U.S. dollar is you have to spend it. It wears out in your savings account. Yeah. So you're sitting there, they're printing it, and then they're dropping, the inversion of the yield curve, they're dropping the interest rates on it. So you've got to spend it. Yeah. And the reason so many people are getting hammered financially is psychically they know if they don't spend it, it's like they said about Firestone tires, is the only tire that wears out in your trunk. You know what I mean? I'm not against Firestone, but it was a kind of a joke.
Or
I think
YouTube.
Goodyear
Or
came up
YouTube,
with
yeah.
that joke. But anyway, so you save money, and the Fed's printing it.
Yeah, but it's a great point, because since 1913, when we were blessed with the Fed, the dollar has gone down by 95%. But what most people, so now we've got to a point where people think that's normal. But let's look back at the 1800s, right? From 1800 to 1900, 100 years, prices went down by 50%.
It's supposed to go down.
So your purchasing power
Supposed to go down.
increased over that 100-year period if you just would have kept your money in the bank, not including the rate of interest you were getting either.
Yeah, but the thing that you're saying is that what entrepreneurs do is they drop prices. Because you can't go into the market and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to raise the price on this. Well, they just go to somebody else.
Yeah.
But your job as an entrepreneur is to bring the price down.
Yep.
Whereas
If there's competition.
is over here.
Yeah. If
there's
you got a free market.
If you got a free market.
And they keep the prices going up.
And human beings innately just want to have deflation, right? So instead of carrying 10 loads, I'll make a wheelbarrow, right? Like everything we do is about efficiency and is about, and so that's just natural.
But another way of saying it, when there's deflation, but they're afraid of a depression, deflation is, that means your dollar buys more.
That's right.
So it's good for the saver. Depression or deflation is good for the saver. Right. But that's why these guys keep jacking it up.
Yeah. And to the point now where they even have an inflation target.
Right.
So what that means is they want the prices to go up. They want you to become poorer every single year.
Correct.
That's basically what they're saying.
And the rich get richer.
And I just ask people this simple question. Would you rather have your dollars buy more stuff in the future or less stuff?
Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, Kim and I, we save gold and silver and now Bitcoin.
Did you see PayPal just announced that they're going to start letting people buy and sell Bitcoin?
Yeah, but you hear what Schiff said about that?
I love Schiff and he was instrumental, but his opinion on Bitcoin means about this much. His opinion on Bitcoin means about this much. But
Did you hear what he said about Bitcoin?
But the point, and he doesn't get, he makes the case for Bitcoin with his argument against it.
I know.
So let me tell you what.
Wait. That's why I love YouTube, because I can listen to both sides really quickly. That's right. Okay, go ahead.
So his argument about Bitcoin is that it's only used by criminals and for illicit transactions.
Who said that?
Rickards. That proves its use case. Why would criminals use it? Because it's outside the system and it's censorship resistant.
Rebel capitalists.
Right? That's the whole use case of it. The government can't seize it, steal it, prevent transactions. So what he's claiming is the problem with it is actually not the bug, it's the feature.
Right. And the other thing that happened was I started buying silver in '64. That's how old I am. When I saw the little copper tinge around the dimes and quarters, I went, what is this? And that's Gresham's law. And Gresham's law is
right.
what?
That's right.
What is Gresham's law?
That means that the bad money chases out the good money. Yeah. So basically, if you got this bad money, this fiat coming into the system, money, people won't value it. Therefore, they'll hoard things like commodities and things that actually have true value.
So Gresham's law says that people aren't stupid. They know fake money. And so I'm a little kid, I'm 17 years old, looking at what is this copper on this dime, on the quarter, and the $50? I'm going, and Gresham's law says we intuitively know. That's why I call gold and silver God's money and Bitcoin people's money. Mm-hmm. You know, we manage it. So anyway, I go to the bank, I used to caddy, and I would take my dollars and I'd buy a roll of dimes or something, and I'd go through all the dimes. Anything with copper on it went back to the bank and I held the dimes. And pretty soon I had this huge bag of dimes, quarters, and $50. And then I went to school in New York in '65, and my mother spent it. She didn't get Gresham's law.
But you kept the ones that were the value ones.
Yeah, I kept
that
them.
Were real metal, that were real silver.
Yeah, so I had this big bag of coins. And the problem, this is why I'm saying I love Bitcoin, because those coins are heavy.
Yeah.
You know, so I remember that, and I said, I thought I was rich though, you know. So I go home, go to school in New York, I go to Vietnam, I buy my first gold in Hong Kong because it was illegal for Americans to buy gold, which I thought was interesting. You know, why is it illegal? So I come home, I think I'm rich, I got this bag of silver coins. And my mother didn't get Gresham's law. She spent it.
Took it to the laundromat.
That's poor mom.
I want to add something to right. I want to add something to what you just said, right? So gold and silver being God's money, but Bitcoin being the people's money.
Yes.
And so to add to that point,
blockchain really is the thing.
Bitcoin is the thing, but
yeah.
What I want to add to that is the people's money, right? And so one of the biggest arguments I hear about Bitcoin is, won't the government just ban it? Right?
Yeah.
So let's think about this, right? Bitcoin, and they say the government will never adopt it. No, the government won't. It's the people's money. But to that point, right? So Bitcoin or PayPal announced they're going to support Bitcoin, and it's kind of a trap. You can't really get it off the system. You can't really use it, but it exposes about 350 million people to Bitcoin, and it's kind of a gateway drug. So they'll start to use it and go, wait a minute, I can't get off the system. I'll move over here. Here's my point. Within the next year, I would imagine we'll have over 1 billion people using Bitcoin. So to everybody's point that says, won't the government ban it? I say, are you admitting defeat? The people don't get their way? We can't have a revolution. Revolutions don't ask for permission. When there's 1 billion people using Bitcoin, the governments aren't going to have much of a choice.
Yeah. You know, when the value of the dollar goes down, the supply goes up. What's wrong with that picture? That's why in Rich Dad we say savers are losers. They're saving. Our whole family saves money. They save stocks. I said, why are you guys doing that? They're printing it.
Yeah, you're basically saving a depreciating asset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
not even depreciate, manipulate it.
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, and depreciate, and an asset where
Fed.
every single other asset like it has gone to zero.
Yeah, yep.
Fiat currency.
Throughout history.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, you just said God bless the Fed. So I would say, as bad as they are for most people,
they make us rich.
If you understand the game,
Yes.
they could be a good friend.
Thank
so God
you,
bless the
thank
Fed.
you, thank you.
So as entrepreneurs, we solve problems. Entrepreneurs aren't greedy. They make money by solving other people's problems, which is what we want. And it just makes me think of where the world is at today and where it's rapidly going, which is people aren't allowed to have adversity anymore. You're not allowed to hear anything that makes you mad.
It's worse. It's worse than that.
And so this whole world is trying to create this safe space where there's no such thing as sorrow or discontent. And but that's what is needed to give us that. So we're talking about right now. That's what we need to give us that kick in the butt.
We need to be anti-fragile.
That's what we interviewed Dinesh D'Souza. He has Trump.
He's great.
He has Trump something.
Trump
his
card.
Documentary.
Trump card. Yeah.
He's great.
But he analyzes it. He says, as the economy worsens and people get sicker and all this, they're looking for victims. Mm-hmm. And he says today it's victims seeking marketing to victims.
Yeah, right.
So all the losers out there are saying, you're a victim, join us. Go against Trump. All you victims out there, join us. And instead of seeing this, whatever tragedy, be it COVID or money or whatever it is, as the best thing that happens to you, the socialists or the radical left wants you to think you're a victim.
Right.
And that's why Bitcoin, gold, and silver are going to go through the roof, because we're mass manufacturing victims right now.
Yeah.
That's the identity politics.
Hey, stand by. We're going to be going to break, and we'll be right back. Don't miss a thing.
Santa spends a lot of time grooming his beard. Have you ever seen Santa with crazy beard? Shouldn't you spend time grooming your present? And please, oh please, don't shave your face with the same thing you shave your Christmas ornaments. Just please, stop feeling afraid to jingle your balls. Those things are precious and the perfect Christmas gift if presented right. You need the new Lawnmower 3.0. It's not a gift for you, it's a gift for your other half. Well, it's a gift for you too. We all have that story where the beautifying of our jingle balls didn't go so well. My personal story left me feeling like the star of The Nutcracker. You gotta be careful. You gotta have the right equipment. Come on, people. That's why this revolutionary company, Manscaped, has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Lawnmower 3.0 has proprietary advanced skin soft technology, so this trimmer cuts on your tinsel and your garland rather than your ornaments, if you know what I mean. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. And if you don't need the Lawnmower 3.0, you probably know someone who does. Robert Kiyosaki always says, capitalists share. I'm sure that's exactly what he meant. Capitalists are practically the same as Santa. The Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0 also includes the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? Ah yes, your jingle balls stink more than Rudolph's droppings. Speaking of sweaty and stinky balls, I am thankful for their Crop Reviver. This product, along with the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and stinking. And these products smell good. Their manly scent is attractive and will help set the mood, if you know what I'm saying. Robert Kiyosaki always stresses the importance of being a good partner. This might be what he meant. The perfect package will also come with a pair of Manscaped boxers that'll keep your Christmas balls feeling fresh and jingly all day. By the way, I have a couple pairs of these, and they're some of the best underwear I've ever had. So, 'tis the season to Manscaped, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, and friends the best gift of all, the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. And as fans of Rich Dad, we know money matters, so get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RICHDAD at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you, and your Christmas partner will thank you even more. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code RICHDAD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code RICHDAD. Avoid the nutcracker and clean up your nuts properly. It will make Santa proud this year. Wish you were in early on some of the best performing IPOs of 2019 and 2020? Our Crowd investors were, and now you can join them in what's next. With Our Crowd, accredited investors have access to invest directly, easily, and most importantly, early. Our Crowd investors have benefited from Our Crowd companies IPOing like Beyond Meat or being bought by companies like Intel, Nike, Microsoft, and Oracle. Our Crowd's investment professionals leverage their extensive network to review some of the most promising private companies and startups in the world. Once Our Crowd has selected a deal, they offer accredited investors the opportunity to invest alongside them with the same terms. If you're an accredited investor, you can join Our Crowd for free at OurCrowd.com/RichDad and review the current deals. No payment is involved until you decide to participate in a deal. Accredited investors can participate in single company deals for as little as $10,000 or one of Our Crowd's funds for as little as $50,000. Right now, you can become part of Our Crowd's investment in Launchpad, revolutionary AI-powered autonomous manufacturing that incorporates 3D printing to efficiently combine multiple materials into complex products. Launchpad is backed by Idea Lab, the startup incubator co-founded by famed VC Bill Gross that has launched over 150 companies ranging from hardware and robotics to clean tech. You can get in early on Launchpad and other unique opportunities at OurCrowd.com/RichDad. If you're interested in investing, you need to join Our Crowd. The Our Crowd account is free. Just go to OurCrowd.com/RichDad.
If you look at how socialism was brought into areas like Venezuela or Cuba or something like that, it's always because the people at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder feel as though nothing they can do can get them to the middle class.
Correct.
So they're stuck there.
victims.
Their children are stuck. Their grandchildren are stuck. So you have to have this revolution. You have to steal from the capitalists or the producers and distribute equally,
Right.
or you're never ever going to get out of this rut. Where in the United States, when I grew up, it was, hey, you go out there, you work hard, you do what you need to do, you conduct business with integrity, you produce a product that the market wants, and you're going to be successful. Therefore, in the 70s and 80s or 90s, if they were to try to introduce socialism like they are today, I think the majority of Americans would have said, pound sand. We don't want anything to do with it because we have hope. But now they're trying to take away that hope so they can introduce socialism and take us to this socialist utopia.
So do you guys think that we've gotten a little too far down the road with this push towards socialism to turn back? Or do you think it's just a small minority of people and that are just making a lot of noise?
I watched Dinesh's movie, The Trump Card, and I won't say that it furthered me along, but it definitely reinforced my position that I think that even if Trump wins, he is going to hold back the tide a little bit longer, but the push to socialism is inevitable at this point. And I don't really see it reversing course until we have major hardship and enough people realize how bad it is, unfortunately, and I hate to say that.
I don't think a lot of Americans would want to go down that path, but if you start talking to them about, hey, Should businesses be shut down right now? Should the Fed be printing money? Should we be sending out these stimulus checks? Should we be doing X, Y, and Z? Then they say, oh, well, yeah, of course. Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But they haven't studied it enough. They're not educated enough to know that that's taking us to that path very quickly. You know, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what we're dealing with in the United States. Will we ever get to a point where they call it outright socialism? Probably not, because it's just got such a negative brand. But
No, it's democratic socialism.
oh yeah, excuse me. So then they just change the brand name, but it's still the same thing. And the net result is the government is controlling the means of production. And look at what the Fed's doing with the bailouts. You know, and the government, at a certain point, all these businesses are being propped up, these zombie companies that should be allowed to go out of business, but then all of the equity or maybe the debt's going onto the Fed's balance sheet. I mean, that's the path that we're going. It's just people don't understand the Fed. They don't understand the plumbing and the shadow banking system to realize what's happening there. So anyway.
Can I add one point onto that real quick before we do? So to answer your point, your question, I believe this march towards socialism, at least in the United States, is kind of set. And maybe
it's called UBI-MMT.
Yeah, we can slow it down, but it's marching on. But there's one thing that gives me hope for the future, and it's Bitcoin. And the reason why it gives me hope for the future more than anything else that we have out there is because it changes everything that we know about money. So as a kid growing up, I know people who came from Iran or came from South Africa. And when they left those countries, they had to leave all their money with them, okay? Because you can have all the gold you want, but good luck trying to transport it. You can have all your money in the bank, you can have your real estate, but you can't move the money, your wealth away, right? Now, as you said many times, you can know 12 words in your head, and you can have your wealth with you anywhere you go.
I have the Biden effect.
She's going to remember it for you. But my point is, so this is an interesting point. So in the U.S., I see the march of socialism is going to continue. But what I'm hopeful for is when we have competition, we get better products, better service, better prices. We're already seeing states compete. Texas says, Elon Musk, come from California, we'll set you up. But we're going to start seeing countries compete. And countries will say, we don't wear masks over here. We allow capitalism over here. And they'll start attracting people. And because we have Bitcoin, that will work. Now I can go there and have my wealth. It used to be, okay, you can leave our country, but you're going broke. And now a lot in the Bahamas especially, they have like economic citizenship. You pay $100,000. Well, what good is that if you can't take your money? But Bitcoin changes everything, and it will allow this global citizenship, which will then create this competition, I believe. And so that's my hope for the future.
And we're not endorsing Bitcoin. We always endorse study. Look into it yourself. And that's the beauty of YouTube. I love you guys. Is I can look at both sides because, you know, guys like, what's his name? Right. Jim Rogers. Yeah. Richard Rogers? Jim Rogers. Jim Rogers, he doesn't like Bitcoin. And he has a good point. Another point of view, right? He goes, if the government wants to shut you down, they'll shut you down. Yeah. Just like they shut you down on COVID. They'll lock you up. Yeah. He says, never forget, you never fight the guys with the guns. Yeah. That's his point of view. But I still buy Bitcoin because I have my point of view. That's why I shipped you that thing from YouTube. Anyway, you know. But we're here to educate, not censor. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think the Bitcoin guys and the gold guys and gals, they're on the same team. I don't understand why they get so... this battle going back and forth. I just see gold and Bitcoin as two completely separate things that try to achieve different objectives. Gold is just there as an insurance policy to maintain your purchasing power, and Bitcoin is something that's a great speculation, and hopefully, at one point in time, it'll allow us to just release ourselves from the shackles of these central planners.
Well, let me tell you a funny story. I'm talking to this friend of ours, and I said, He's hoarding cash, a Jewish guy. I said, Jesus saves, Moses invests. I'm Moses, you're Jesus, I said, buy some silver. I said, no. Then he says, how much? I said, $25, you can buy a silver eagle today, He says, my wife won't let me. I said, you have serious problems.
Yeah, you got bigger problems than
currency. You have serious problems. At $25, you got some big problems there.
Yeah, right.
So we're running out of time. Can we get to this here? Because you guys are here. This comes from Mona. This comes from our book, Infinite Returns, which will be out soon. And this is the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is Grunch up here. Where's Grunch? This is Grunch here. The Grunch of Giants. This is Fuller's book, came out in '83. And I started looking at it, so I don't expect you guys to study it now. But it says down here, gold, silver, Bitcoin are not part of this system. And so what you have here is you have Grunch, you have the government, you have banks, you have Wall Street, then you have education, media, military, and big pharma. They control the economy, big corporations. That's what Grunch said. But underneath this whole thing is a global plumbing system.
Right.
And so the reason I love your program is you're always in here. You see, there's microeconomics, macroeconomics, and then I call it cosmic economics, you know what I mean? But you're always in here in the macro. And something, when I was working on this book here, Who Stole My Pension, which came out in January 2020, I was watching something and suddenly the repo market blew up. And you're one of the only guys that's explained repo market, because I would say probably out of 100 people, 0 have heard of repo market. And 0 have heard of the shadow banking system.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is what happens is once you go down that rabbit hole, you don't come back.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so complex in here. So our new book coming out, thanks to Mona over there, is called The Infinite Return. You see, the guys up here don't work for money. You don't need money. When somebody says, I don't have money, you're a loser, because the rich don't need money. It's infinite.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, George, and you do a lot of, is inside here. This is what we're explaining. Anything you want to say about repo, Deutsche Bank, and the shadow banking system?
Well, I think
there's a lot.
Yeah, that's
just brief,
one heck of a rabbit hole.
10 words.
I think 10 words.
It sucks.
I think what most people need to realize is there's a dollar system that's outside of the control or purview of the Federal Reserve or the central bank. So as my good buddy Jeff Snyder always says, the central banks aren't central.
That's right.
It's the plumbing that Robert is talking about.
That's what Nomi Prinz is talking about.
This is actually what's central. So a lot of people think that in the GFC in 2008,
what is the GFC?
The global financial crisis.
Oh,
that was a result of mortgages, but that was really just the tip of the iceberg. What actually happened is the plumbing of the system broke. That's what caused the GFC. It wasn't caused by mortgages. So they call it the dollar funding market. It's outside of the United States.
The euro dollar.
It's called the euro dollar system. So in real simple terms, there's a way that you can create dollars in the United States. You know, the Fed can print money, the government can spend it, the Fed can monetize the debt, or the commercial banks can create a new loan, which creates new dollars. And people think that it's self-contained. It's not. What people don't realize is there's dollar loans that are being created outside of the United States by other commercial banks lending to each other and foreign corporations. And it's been happening since Bretton Woods.
May I add this to it? Because people don't know this, in 2008, Bernanke just started printing. And people didn't know he was bailing out the entire global system.
Yeah, that's what, and he was trying to bail that out.
He bailed this whole thing out here. And that's why the crash got really, really bad. And then September 17th, 2019, I'm researching this book here, and boom, the repo market blows up. So again, you go down the rabbit hole and you go, what the heck is the repo market? So I'm watching Rebel Capitalism, and you're explaining repo market, but then you go back to Deutsche Bank, which is in serious trouble.
Yeah. So
best you can, what is the repo market, and how is Deutsche Bank kind of the linchpin right now?
So basically we have to go back to Lehman Brothers in 2008. And so
which I called in prophecy.
Yeah, so they went bust because they couldn't access the repo market.
Oh, okay.
That's in just...
well, it's like they were short of cash.
Yeah, they were short of liquidity. They couldn't access the repo market. No one would lend to them, so they just went belly up. So what happened potentially is the interest rate in the repo market spiked from about 2% up to 10%, which is absolutely unheard of, meaning that there was no one in the repo market that wanted to lend. Well, why was that? Maybe because Deutsche Bank, or maybe another one of these banks, HSBC, was in deep trouble. Therefore, the interest rate spikes. So the Fed has to come and provide that liquidity. That could have been a Lehman moment if the Fed would not have stepped in, like 2008.
It wasn't just the Fed, it was the Fed and the Treasury stepped in.
Well, now they're pretty much one and the same because the Fed is just when I say the Fed is monetizing the debt, I mean that the government is spending the money, they're issuing the bonds, and then the Fed, through this shell game with the primary dealer banks, is just buying those bonds with newly created bank reserves, and it just goes back to your chart. Yeah.
Anthony, you want to say about this? Because this is where we operate from.
I mean, I think George summed it up the best. I think at the end of the day, really, it just comes down to everything being completely over-leveraged, right? So when you look at the derivatives market, which is basically they're betting, right? It's a gambling market is what it is.
On a bet on a bet.
It's a bet on a bet on a bet. And so when you go back to the mortgage crisis, really, it became this,
$1 problem.
And they were creating financial assets. They financialized the economy. So they're creating financial assets out of nothing. And so, let's grab a couple of these mortgages and we'll put it all together, this sausage, if you will. And then they were turning into these new financial assets, and then they were getting stacked. And so we have these bets on bets on bets as the derivatives market. And nobody knows how big that is.
Yeah,
they're estimating it's $1 quadrillion.
It's the elephant standing on the peanut type thing.
And that's why my friend here, Edward Siddell, he's the biggest whistleblower against the pension system. He says what happens is they start manufacturing all these toxic assets, and they sold them to pension plans all over the world. Yeah. So nothing has changed.
Yeah, but it goes back to what you were saying, because if we had sound money, when people wouldn't be forced into gambling and speculating.
That's exactly right.
The pension funds wouldn't be forced to go further out the risk curve, and we wouldn't have all this financialization of the economy.
And I know it sounds hype, but I believe pretty much every problem that you can point in society leads back to the money. Sound money.
Sound money.
And so anyway, I want to thank you guys. These are the rebel capitalists. We love you too. Don't. Well, what's it called?
Be gentle.
And we love you too.
We love you. This is called free market capitalism, although we're a bunch of rebels. So I want to thank the company. Thank you guys. I have to run for another call. But anyway, thank you very much.
Good seeing you.
Thank you. Thanks, George.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
And thank you all for watching the Rich Dad radio program.
Don't be like Charlie. Charlie is that do-it-yourselfer who does himself in. Do-it-yourself is good for tile and grout. It is not good for asset protection. Charlie thought he'd save a few dollars forming his LLC online. With no guidance, he did it wrong. When he sold the property, he lost thousands and thousands of dollars. He did himself in by trying to do it himself. Don't burn yourself. Use Corporate Direct to set up and maintain your LLCs and corporations. Corporate Direct is owned and operated by attorney and rich dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Garrett wrote the bestsellers Loopholes of Real Estate and Start Your Own Corporation. He is Robert Kiyosaki's attorney for asset protection. He and his team will do it right. Visit them at corporatedirect.com or call 800-600-1760. Mention Rich Dad and receive $100 off your formation fee. That's corporatedirect.com. corporatedirect.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.